Om Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Devotees, so we have been studying Narada Bhakti Sutras, and we have seen how devotion is the primary means and also the goal of spiritual life. So, devotion, bhakti, is the eternal relationship between the eternal Jivatma and the eternal Paramatma. I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not any of the impressions and the karmaphala, I am not any of those. I am pure consciousness. I am just a witness to this entire drama of life. And I am a reflection, as an individual, I am a reflection of pure consciousness. And to turn within and to identify myself with the Nirguna Brahman, the pure consciousness, Shuddha Chaitanyam, I take the help of Ishvara, who is the reflection of pure consciousness on the entire universe. Just as I, as an individual, I am the reflection of pure consciousness on this individual Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karna Sharira. Ishvara, God, is the reflection of pure consciousness on this entire universe. Ishvara is that supreme being who identifies himself with the whole universe. This entire universe is his physical body. All the minds of everyone is all manifestations of his mind. All life on earth and this entire universe is a manifestation of his life. And everything that happens in this universe is completely by his will alone. So, this Ishvara, who is the super soul, they call, or supreme being. Now, Purushottama, there is a word used in the Gita. So, this Purushottama, Paramatma, I surrender to, and by that, I am able to give up my petty, limited identity. Already, I am completely dependent upon Ishvara. This body, mind is completely dependent upon Ishvara. But it is out of ignorance and arrogance, I consider myself as an independent entity. I think I do this, I do that. So, all this individual limited identity is because of ignorance and arrogance. So, when I give up my ignorance, when I understand who is Ishvara, so when I understand that I am not apart from Ishvara, Ishvara is the whole, I am a very, very infinitesimal part as the body and mind. This body, mind is a very, very infinitesimal part of Ishvara. And by this knowledge and by owning up this knowledge, I give up my arrogance and I completely surrender to Ishvara. And the whole thing is only mental, right? It's an attitude. What happens in this world keeps continuing to happen as per his will. Whether I identify myself with this body, mind or not, what happens will happen as the Ishvara has willed. So nothing changes. It's an attitudinal change. I completely surrender myself to Ishvara, and by that I attain knowledge, I attain peace of mind. So this jnana, bhakti, vairagya. Jnana of who am I, who is Ishvara, what is my relationship with Ishvara, and vairagya towards the world. And vairagya, when we say vairagya towards the world, it also includes this body mind also. So vairagya towards this body mind and the world, and bhakti towards Ishvara. So these three, Jnana, Bhakti, Vairagya, when we have, then automatically we will have peace of mind, and Ishvara will give us the supreme knowledge of our identity with the original universal consciousness itself. Now, this is the Bhakti Marga. This is the way shown by Narada, and we have seen that Swami Prabhavanandji has classified, or he has partitioned the Narada Bhakti Sutras, 84 Sutras, into 9 chapters. And we have seen up to the 5th chapter. And we will proceed further to the 6th chapter. And we also have seen that Sri Ramakrishna has summarized the entire Narada Bhakti Sutras in his 5 points. Keep holy company, repeat the name of the Lord always, and then always discriminate between right and wrong, and then live in the world like a servant maid, and occasionally go and meditate in solitude. So those 5 points, whatever Sri Ramakrishna has mentioned, we should always remember, and that is the sadhana according to Narada Bhakti Sutras, and that is the sadhana according to Sri Ramakrishna. That is the way. Good. So, when we come to this chapter, for the verses 43 to 50, let us see. The Sutra 43 says, Dussangaha sarvathaiva tyajyaha. So, Dussangaha, bad company. Sarvatha, sarvatha eva. So, sarvatha eva, when you combine, it becomes sarvathaiva. So, sarvatha eva tyajyaha. So, Dussanga is bad company. Sarvata means by every means, right? Sarvada means always. Sarvatha means by every means, right? In all ways. Sarvada means at all times. So, Sarvada means all times. Sarvatha means in every way, by all means. So, Sarvatha eva tyajyaha. So, now the question will automatically come, who is Dussanga? What is Dussanga? So, very simple, 2 things. Dussanga or bad company are those people who identify themselves with the body and mind, and whose goal in life is material success. That is a definition for bad company. Who is Dussanga? People who identify themselves with the body and mind, who consider themselves as body and mind, and who consider the goal of life is material prosperity alone. They are called Dussanga. Right? So, Satsanga is people who don't identify with the body and mind, who say, I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am divine, right? I am a spiritual entity. And the goal of life is spiritual progress, spiritual development. Jivan Mukti is the goal of life. They are Satsanga. So, company with people who have Jivan Mukti as the goal is Satsanga, and company with people who have got only worldly prosperity as the goal is Dussanga. It is very, very clear. There is absolutely no doubt about it, no ambiguity about it. So, this Dussangaha sarvatha eva tyajyaha. So, by every means, avoid people who have bad company. Now, you may say, how can we avoid people with bad company? Because of our family, because of our profession, because of our neighborhood. We might have to live with people with bad company. Like, people might be there. We don't have control over who lives around us, and we don't have control over what people think as the goal of life. So, such people might even be in our own family, right? Maybe our own parents, maybe our own spouse, maybe our own children. So, what do you mean by avoid bad company? So what we can do is, where it is unavoidable, we can say we should not be influenced by them, right? So they may have goal as worldly prosperity as their only goal in life, or maybe primary goal in life, but we should ensure that we don't get influenced by that company. How can we do that? By satsanga, right? So we have to counter the poison by medicine. So satsanga is the medicine to counter the poison of dussanga. So avoidable dussanga we should always avoid. We can always avoid. But unavoidable dussanga we have to compensate by satsanga. And another thing is, another way to handle dussanga is, now when we have transactions with people, there are two types of transactions. One is giving, the other one is taking. Now, if we take from people, we become indebted to them, and their thought process, their influence will start affecting us. But if we give, then we are not affected by their thought process. So giving transaction does not taint us, whereas receiving transaction taints us. This we have to be very, very clear about. Suppose, even if we have a friend, right, who is having worldly prosperity as the goal and who considers himself as his body and mind, and if our relationship, if our transaction with that person is one of we giving to them, right, give them knowledge, give them money, or whatever needed, education, secular knowledge, financial support, whatever it is, as long as your transaction is giving, you will not get influenced by them, even if they have very, very different ideas and opinions from you. As long as you are on the giving side, their influence will not touch you. But if you take anything from them, then their thought process will affect your thought process. So this is called ahara shuddhi, right? Ahara shuddhi is important for bhakti, that you have to be very, very careful about from whom you take, right? Whether it is food, whether it is other help or other, whichever things, anytime you take something from someone, you will get influenced mentally. So wherever it is unavoidable transactions, ensure that you are a giver and never a taker. If you want to take something, always take only from satsanga. With dussanga, you can be a giver but never be a receiver, right? So this, if you ensure, then to some extent you can be free from the influence of dussanga. And why dussanga has to be avoided, Narada explains further. The next sutra, 44th sutra, says, Kama, Krodha, Moha, Smriti Brimshaha, Buddhi Nashaha, Karanatvat. Because dussanga will cause Kama, Krodha, Moha, Smriti Bramsha, and Buddhinasha. The moment you see this sequence, immediately you can remember Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 61st shloka, right? Bhagavad Gita 62nd shloka, 62nd and 63rd shlokas. There's a sequence of two shlokas which describe how the downfall happens. It says, Dhyayate Vishayan Pumsaha. So when you keep on thinking about sense objects, Vishayan. So if you repeatedly think about sense objects, Dhyayate Vishayan Pumsaha, Sangastopa Jayate. So you develop attachment to them. So this is Dussanga. Right? So here the Sangha towards the Vishaya is Dussanga. Sangasto Upajayate. Then Sangat Jayate, Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha, Kamat Krodobhijayate, Krodhat Bhavati Sammohaha, Sammohat Smriti Vibhramaha, Smriti Bhrumshat, Buddhinashaha, Buddhinashat Pranashyati. So the same sequence, whichever is given here, is there in the Gita, second chapter, 62, 63 shlokas. Right? So, if you look at the Gita shloka carefully, where does it all start? It starts in thinking, repeated thinking of sense objects. Right? Now, when a sense object is in front of us, obviously, they will come into our mental purview. We will be thinking about them. But when the sense object is not in front of us, and if we are thinking about them, that is a danger sign. Suppose, let us say, I love Rasagulla. Now, when Rasagulla is there in front of me, okay, yeah, Rasagulla is there. I like Rasagulla. I want Rasagulla. I will take Rasagulla. And of course, I will share with others. I will apply moderation. Things are fine. But when Rasagulla is not there in front of me, if my mind says, oh, I want Rasagulla, and you start thinking about Rasagulla, now that is a danger sign. Right? Now, it might be Rasagulla, it might be a job, it might be a wealth, it might be a business, it might be property, it might be even, a person, right? So, anytime you remember a person or a thing which when that person or thing is not physically in front of you, if your mind thinks about that person or that thing, that is a warning bell. Okay, it means you are starting to get attached to that person or that thing. So that is what Krishna says, right? Dhyayate Vishayan Pumsaha. So which means if your mind thinks about a person or a thing when that person or thing is not in front of you repeatedly, then immediately you should wake up. You should say, what am I doing? What am I getting into? And you should change the course of your thought process. Nama Japa is the counter thing for everything. For every wrong thought that comes in your mind, Nama Japa is the cure. Right? So mentally chant, and mentally, if you are not in a position to chant, if your mind is not coming under control, then chant loudly. Right? Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Chant loudly, and automatically your mind will come under control. Right? Hare Nama Sankirtanam is the way to control the mind. In fact, like Hari Maharaj, Swami Triyanandaji asked Sri Ramakrishna once this question, how to control lust? That was Triyanandaji's question. He was young boy, right? Like they were all young boys, 17 years, 20 years kind of boys. And Sri Ramakrishna's advice was, whenever you get a wrong thought, chant the name of Hari. Right? So, whenever our mind is thinking about a person or something beyond our control, and we want to change the thought, we want to get out of that thought, chant Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Chant loudly and the Lord will help you. So this is the downward fall, right? Sequence. And so Narada gives an example. He says, Tarangayita api ime sangat samudrayante. So this bad thought will start as a small ripple, and in the company of evil people, it will become like a ocean. So now this is a very, very interesting sutra here. So this bad thoughts or thoughts about objects coming to us when they are not there, repeated thoughts now arising in us, that is natural. It is natural for the mind to get attached to things, to think of things, wanted, unwanted, dreaming, anxiety, all these things, it is natural for the mind. It will come up like a small ripple, tarangayita, right? Now, moment you recognize that there is a problem, if you seek satsanga, so you can seek physical satsanga, right, where you go into the company of holy people and then talk to them about holy things, listen to holy things. Or if you don't have the opportunity for a physical satsanga at that time, you can chant the name of the Lord, which is basically satsanga with the nama, right? That is also satsanga. Satsanga with people, satsanga with teachings, satsanga with shastra, satsanga with nama. These are all various types of satsangas. Highest, of course, is satsanga with the sadhus. Okay. So if you immediately seek satsanga, then it will get controlled. Now, if you seek dussanga, then it will get amplified. The bad thoughts will get amplified if you are in evil company, right? So, bad thoughts arising in the mind randomly is natural, because the mind's nature is to keep jumping here and there, and there will be good thoughts sometimes, there will be bad thoughts sometimes. Now, you don't need to beat the mind for that. That is natural for the mind. But pursuing the thought or not is in your hands, right? So by satsanga, you will attenuate or you will reduce the power of bad thoughts and increase the power of good thoughts. But by evil company, the bad thoughts will gain power and good thoughts will lose their power. So here he says, like a ripple, it will start, and with the evil company, it will become like a ocean. Then it will become uncontrollable and it will wash you away. So at the beginning itself, if you are able to control it, it is easy. And interestingly, Shankaracharya gives a very, very beautiful example. I think it is in Viveka Chudamani. He says it is like a ball dropped down on a stairs. Suppose there is a flight of stairs and you drop one rubber ball at the top of the stairs. It will bounce to the next stair, then to the next one. It will just keep bouncing down the stairs. You should try it out. You can drop a rubber ball at the top of the stairs and see how it goes down. First bounce, it will bounce one step. Second bounce, it will bounce 2 steps. Third bounce, it will bounce 4 steps. Eighth, then fourth, it will bounce 8 steps. So as it goes down, its velocity will increase exponentially. You can see if you drop a rubber ball down a stairs, as the ball goes down and down and down the stairs, its velocity will exponentially increase. And Shankaracharya uses this as an example for how once the mind goes down, and here the dussanga is the stairs, right? The stairs is the dussanga. And a bad thought in the presence of a dussanga, just like a ball in the presence of downward stairs, will just exponentially, its power will increase, right? So Shankaracharya gives that as an example. Here the example given is a ripple becoming a ocean. So this is the effect of bad company. Next sutra says, Kaha kastarati. So kaha tarati mayam. So that is a question asked. Who crosses Maya? What is Maya? Maya is considering this body, mind as myself, and considering this whole universe as valuable, attaching value to worldly prosperity, and identifying with this body and mind is called Maya, right? Which is basically out of ignorance, right? So basically, see, if you look at the whole thing, there are only two questions. Who am I? What is the purpose of life? There are only two questions you need to answer correctly, right? And the Shastras put it in a very interesting way. It says, where am I coming from? Where am I going? Right? So where am I coming from? That means that is the question of who am I? Where am I going is what is the purpose of life? So these two questions, who am I and what is the purpose of life? If you are able to get the correct answer to these two questions, and if you are able to manifest and express and live your life by the right answer, then that is what is called as Jivan Mukti. So the entire samsara is because of wrong idea of who am I and what is the purpose of life. Right? So what is the wrong answer? Wrong answer is I am body and mind. What is the wrong answer to purpose of life? Worldly prosperity. Right? This is the wrong answer. This wrong answer will lead to samsara, and this is called Maya. What is the right answer? I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not even this individual. I am pure consciousness, I am the witness. And what is the purpose of life? Realizing my true nature, this wisdom, this knowledge, and living by that knowledge and wisdom is the purpose of life. Now, this what makes the entire difference, right? So, kahat tarati mayam. So it is repeated twice for emphasis. So who crosses Maya? It says, yaha, so those people, sangam tyajati, who give up evil company, right? And yaha mahanubhavam sevate, who serve great people. So you give up evil company and you go for good company, right? Yaha sangam tyajati, yaha mahanubhavam sevate. Then what will happen? Nirmamaha bhavati, one who gives up the claiming ownership of possessions, right? Now, this is the sequence. You give up this thing, evil company, and then you get the company of great people, and by that, you will be able to give up the mamakara. When you say giving up the claiming ownership of possessions, it starts with the world, your house, your relatives, relations, and then your body, your mind, and your individuality in that sequence, right? So give up, give up, give up. As you give up claiming ownership of various things around you, automatically you will identify yourself with pure consciousness. Neti, 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 right? Not this, not this, not this. When you keep giving up, then automatically your mind will turn inwards and it will go and it will recognize its identity. You will recognize your identity with pure consciousness. So this is the way. Satsanga. So Shankaracharya in his Bhajagovindam, the Mohamudgara, he says Satsangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nischalatatvam, Nischalatatve Jivan Muktihi. Right? So that is the sequence, upward sequence. Right? So that is what happens. And so if you don't give up claiming ownership of possessions, then you will lead to bondage. So there is a very beautiful, uh, beautiful section in Chandogya Upanishad where there is a king and there has been a theft in the palace. Okay, there is a theft in the palace. So the king consults his Purohit and his teachers, and then they give him a hot iron rod. Okay, so there is a hot iron rod, and then it's a magical iron rod, and they say, let everyone come and hold this hot iron rod. Tapta ayaha. So hot rod, there is a word used, right? The word aya, the word iron is actually a Sanskrit word. The Upanishad itself has that word ayaha because India is the source of the process of extracting iron from iron ore and steel and all, like steel technology, metallurgy, everything. India is traditionally, right from like old ages, like India has been the one of the top in metallurgy. So even in the Upanishads are like people based on the astronomical dating, they are dating it to something like 10,000 BC and all. Now even in that there is the mentioning of iron and steel and all these things. Anyway, so Chandogya Upanishad, so it talks about iron. So it says the king has a magical red hot iron bar, right? And when a person comes and touches it, the thief will get burnt. Whereas the person who is not a thief, honest people, will not get burnt. So the king asks people to come one by one and touch the red hot iron. Now, people come, they touch it, nothing happens, it doesn't burn them. And there is one person who touches it and it burns his hand. And immediately, now the thief has been identified and the thief is imprisoned, he is put in the jail. Now, this is the story in the Chandogya Upanishad. And then the allegory is explained. This iron is the world. This world, this life, these relationships, this is what is iron. Now, if this world burns us, creates problem for us, it means we have attachment. Right? If we have vairagya, if we have renunciation, then this world will not trouble us. Or rather, we will not be troubled by this world. Now, so if you don't have vairagya, then you are imprisoned in samsara. The karagraha, the prison is samsara. So, this is the sign of whether you have vairagya or not. So, if you have vairagya, this world will not trouble you. If you have vairagya, this world will not trouble you. If you don't have vairagya, this world will trouble you. Now, why does this world trouble you if you don't have vairagya? Right? Not having vairagya means claiming ownership of the world. You are saying, this is my house, this is my husband, this is my child. So that is claiming ownership. The reality is everything belongs to Ishvara. So Paramarthananji puts it in a very nice way. He says, everything belongs to Ishvara. So anytime you claim ownership of anything in this world, you are misappropriating Ishvara's wealth. Right? Anytime we claim ownership of anything in this world, we are misappropriating or we are wrongly claiming ownership of what does not belong to us and what belongs to Ishvara. And this is a great crime, right? Claiming what does not belong to us and which actually belongs to Ishvara, that too, as our own, is obviously a crime. And the punishment for this crime is prison in this world, which is samsara. Right? So, claiming ownership of anything in this world is misappropriating Ishvara's possessions, and we will be punished by bondage, samsara, that is the prison. So, give up claim of ownership of anything and everything. Start with wealth, extend it to family members, all relationships. They are all not mine, they all belong to Ishvara. Then give up the ownership of your body, give up the ownership of your mind also. And then finally, give up the ownership of papa, punya, samskara, all these things. And then automatically you would identify yourself with pure consciousness, and that is Jivan Mukti. So Jivan Mukti is very simple. Just give up claiming ownership of possessions which actually belong to Ishvara and they don't actually belong to you. Just this one sadhana will take you to Jivan Mukti. Now, okay, so who kahatarati mayam, who crosses maya? One who gives up evil company, ones who serve great people, mahanubhavam sevate, right? And then nirmamaha bhavati, give up the claiming ownership of possessions. Next sutra. Then what happens? What do you do? Yaha, that person. So basically the sequence is given. How giving up evil company will slowly take you to higher and higher states, right? So yaha, those people who vivikta sthanam sevate, right? Who seek solitude and holy places, right? So in 13th chapter, Krishna says, Vivikta desha sevitvam arati jana samsadi, right? One who seek holy places and solitude and shun the company of worldly people, right? So basically, dussanga varjana, right? So one who you avoid evil company and you seek either holy company or solitude. So Vivikta desha sevitvam aratir jana samsadi. That's what 13th chapter says. So here the same word is used. Yaha vivikta sthanam sevate. Then yaha loka bandhanam unmulayati. So mula means root. Unmulayati means remove the plant with the root, right? Basically you root it out. You don't cut the plant because then it will again grow, right? Suppose there is a weed. If you just cut the top of the weed, then if you leave out the root, it will again grow. So what do? You root it out completely. You pull out the weed, including the roots. Now that is what is called as unmulayati, right? Mula means root. Unmulayati means you remove it, including the roots itself. Now here, what is the weed here? Loka bandhanam, attachment to this worldly or other worldly enjoyments, right? So here loka means both bhuloka and swargaloka, right? Both this world and heavenly world. So this worldly enjoyment and also heavenly enjoyments also have to be completely given up, right? So that is what is loka bandhanam unmulayati. So complete, basically, like, what is the purpose of life? Right? Purpose of life is wisdom, is to attain Ishvara. Purpose of life is not enjoyment in this world nor heavenly enjoyment. Both have to be completely given up, right? So yaha loka bandhanam unmulayati nistraigunyaha bhavati. So once you don't have those goals in life, then you become Nistraigunya Bhavati. So again, so this word Nistraigunya also comes in the Gita, right? So Krishna says, don't go for rituals, right? The Vedic rituals, the yagas, yajnas, the kamya karma. This is Nistragunyo Bhavarjuna, right? So basically, give up all the three gunas, right? Basically, here the three gunas basically means worldly pursuits. Yoga Kshemam Tyajati, who gives up acquiring and preserving. So yoga means acquiring things. Kshemam means preserving things. Yoga Kshemam Tyajati means you give up acquiring and preserving things in this world, right? So basically, like all come from the don't claim ownership, then automatically you will not be worried about, you will not having these as the goals of life, right? Then Sutra 48 says, continues. So all the three are just continuation, right? Yaha karma phalam tyajati. So who gives up seeking fruits of action, right? So this is the, actually this, if you look at Tattva Bodha, this is the definition for Vairagya, right? So what is the definition for Vairagya given? Iha amutra karma phala tyagaha, right? So basically, in this world and in the heaven, giving up the fruits of action. So that is what here also it says, one who gives up seeking fruits of action. Yaha, that person who karma phala. So here again, karma phala we have to understand as both loka phala and also swarga phala, right? The fruits of action in this world also, and fruits in the future, in the other worlds also, right? Karma phalam tyajati, who gives up. Karmani sanyasyati, so who gives up selfish work, right? So now when we say karmani here, we have to understand it as selfish work, because we have already seen in the first chapter and in the second chapter, I think we saw that work done for the worldly prosperity, like so for the welfare of the world, right? Whatever work we do, the bare minimum work for maintaining this body, and doing work to burn our prarabdha karma, and also the basic nitya naimitya karmas, which the basic spiritual disciplines which are recommended by the scriptures, that we should not give up, right? We saw that, right? So we should not give up the basic puja, chanting, japa for the Ishvara Priti. So karma done for worldly gains, seeking worldly fruits, we have to give up, right? So basically, like kamya karma, we have to give up. Nishkama karma, we should continue, right? So we have seen that. So that's why here also karmani sanyasti means give up selfish work. Then tataha nirdvandvaha bhavati. So by doing all these things, we will become nirdvandvaha, right? This also, all these words are basically there in the Gita, right? So nirdvandvaha bhavati. So basically, we'll have, Gita gives a list of pairs of opposites, right? Shitoshna, Sukha Dukkeshu, Labha, Labhau, Jaya, Jayau, right? So Sita, Ushna, right? The cold and heat. Sukha and Dukkha, right? Pleasure and pain. Labha, Alabha, gain and loss. Jaya, Ajaya, success and failure. Then Tulya Ninda Stutir Mauni, right? So Ninda and Stuti. So people scolding and people praising. So like this, Gita gives a big list of dualities, dvandva, opposites, right? So he becomes free from all this dvandva. Tataha nirdvandvaha bhavati. Then Yaha Vedan api sanyasyati. So he gives up even the duties given in the karma kanda of the Vedas. Again, here also it means kamya karma. So the Vedas give a lot of rituals to reach Swargaloka, to enjoy life in Swarga. That has to be given up, right? So that is what we already saw, right? Nistraigunyo bhavarjuna, right? So give up the three gunas. Like, so in the Gita, in the 2nd chapter and in the 9th chapter, Krishna condemns Vedic rituals done with the desire for higher lokas, desire for heavens, desire for pleasure in the heaven. Krishna condemns both. It comes in the 2nd chapter also and also in the 9th chapter. So basically, don't do even the Vedic rituals which promise pleasure in heavens. Right? Yaha Vedanapi sanyasyati. And kevalam avachinna anuragam labate. So kevalam avachinna anuragam labate. Anuragam. Raga means attachment. But anuragam means divine love. Attachment to Ishvara is called anuragam. Right? So anuragam labate. He attains divine love. And that is kevalam and avachinnam. So kevalam means unalloyed. So absolutely no worldly goals. That is what is called as unalloyed, right? No worldly goals at all. No seeking worldly prosperity. You seek only the love of Lord. Pure love for love's sake towards Ishvara. So that is kevalam anuragam. And avachinna anuragam. Avachinna means uninterrupted, right? So which means always, which means not only while doing puja, but while doing the loka vyavahara also. Even while you are doing your worldly duties, worldly activities, continuously remember the Lord and maintain the love of the Lord in your heart. Holy Mother puts it in a very nice figurative way. She says, it is like, having a pot of joy in the center of the heart. Like always in the center of the heart, you have a kalasha, you have a pot full of amrita. So that is what you always carry with you. Carry a pot of nectar of divine love in your heart always throughout the day, right? So that is uninterrupted. Anuragam labate. So this is what this sutra says. Then the last sutra of this chapter says, Sa tarati sa lokan starayati. So saha tarati. So he crosses. So we saw, how did we start? We started with who crosses Maya, right? Kaha mayam tarati. So here, now we have the description and then he says, so now saha tarati mentioned twice for emphasis. So you can say sahayeva tarati. He alone crosses, right? So this person alone crosses, and not only he crosses Maya, saha lokan tarayati. He also carries the world along with him. He also helps others to cross also, right? So this is the beauty of it. How did we start? We started with satsanga. Avoid dussanga, and then you seek satsanga, and by satsanga, you can cross Maya. Now, once you have crossed Maya by satsanga, now you yourself become satsanga for others. Right? So, it is, you spread the word, right? It is like, there is a beautiful example given. So you have this paras, the philosopher's stone, right? So paras, when paras, that stone touches any metal, that metal will become gold, right? So the philosopher's stone, whenever you touch that stone with any metal, any base metal, that metal becomes gold. That is the ordinary stone. But here you have this paras, the satsanga is a special paras where it converts whatever it touches into another paras, another philosopher's stone. So that philosopher's stone will again can convert more philosopher's stones. So basically, that is the beauty of satsanga. Satsanga will make you cross Maya, and then you become the satsanga for more people, right? So saha lokan tarayati. So now you carry on the legacy of satsanga, and by your guru's grace, by the grace of the holy people with whom you came in touch, you have crossed Maya, and now by your touch, more people are going to cross the world, and then by their touch, still more people are going to cross the world. So that's what is happening. We learnt from Paramarthananji, from Anand Maharaj, Paramasukhananji, and then now we are passing on the knowledge, we are passing on to the next section of people, and then a few months, few years later, all of you will carry on the message, will carry this message to more people still ahead. That is what you have to cross Maya, and you have to then help other people carry Maya, cross Maya. Nothing, you just sit with the book and read aloud and start there, right? So just spread the word of the Lord, spread the word of Jnana, Bhakti, Vairagya, and this person, once he has crossed Maya, he will help others also to cross Maya. This is the beauty of Satsanga. So Satsanga will first remove you from Dussanga, and then it will give you freedom, help you cross Maya, and then you yourself will become the source of Satsanga to others. So this is what this shloka has told. So this chapter we have seen. So bad company leads to downfall. Holy company helps cross Maya. Step by step, the person crosses Maya and also helps others to cross Maya. So these are the ideas in this chapter. The next chapter is a small one. So I think let us continue. We have some more time. So the next chapter is about preparatory and supreme devotion. So the verses are 51 to 57. So these are the topics. Supreme devotion is indescribable. It can only be experienced. Once experienced, the person will want to experience only that again and again. And preparatory devotion is based on gunas, and subsequent states are preceding. So we have already seen those topics before. So we can quickly run through them. So the sutra says, Anirvachaniyam prema swarupam mukha aswadhanavat, right? Mukha aswadhanavat prakashate kvapi patre. So these are like related. So the prema swarupam, the nature of devotion, is anirvachaniyam. It is indescribable. So the pleasure that you get by thinking of the Lord, right, is indescribable, right? How? Like Mukha aswadanavat, right? So like the taste experienced by a dumb person. Like now, this is a double this thing, right? This is very, the example is so beautiful from multiple dimensions. So one thing is, the organ used to taste is also tongue only. And the organ used to describe what you are experiencing is also tongue, right? So that is why taste is mentioned here. It can be touch, it can be vision, it can be sound, but no, taste is more appropriate here because it is the same organ used to taste also, same organ used to talk also. Even then, suppose even a person who can talk, if he tastes Rasgulla, for example, if you ask him, how was the Rasgulla? He will say, oh, it was so tasty. If you say, can you explain the taste? You cannot. So, even a person who can talk, even a person who can beautifully describe things, who can write poetry, who can sing, even a person who is highly capable of expressing verbally, even that person cannot describe the taste of a rasgulla. Now, what to talk of a dumb person who cannot even speak, right? So, that is why this example, Muka Aswadanavat, has, it's a kind of superlative example where there is like even a person who can verbally talk cannot explain the taste, even though it is the same tongue which actually did the tasting. Now, what to talk about a dumb person who can't even talk? How can he explain taste? Right? So, it is as indescribable as that, the nature of devotion. Prema Swarupam Anirvachaniyam. Right? And that does not mean it is not experienceable. Prakashate kwa api patre. So whichever qualified person, it will manifest in it. Prakashate. So Krishna tells in the 6th chapter, Buddhigrahyam atindriyam. Right? It is the experience of devotion. Right? The pleasure. Right? The pleasure that is experienced in devotional meditation, Krishna describes as, right, it is an atindriya sukham. It is a sukham, but it is buddhi, and it is buddhi grahyam. It is tangible in the buddhi. It is tangible in the mind. It is a tangible experience in the mind. But it is atindriyam. But it has no origin in the senses. And it is anirvachaniyam. And it is indescribable. It's a tangible pleasure not related to any sense organs, and it is indescribable. Now that is the prema swarupam. That is the pleasure which you will experience by meditating upon Ishvara, by having this devotion, by having this love for the Lord. And it describes further, Gunarahityam, it is devoid of properties. Kamana rahityam, it is devoid of desires. Pratikshana vardhamanam, it grows every moment. It keeps increasing every moment. Avichinnam, it is uninterrupted. Sukshmataram, it is extremely subtle. Anubhava rupam, it is of the nature of experience. Okay. Now this is very, very beautiful. Now, this you have to understand this in contrast with a Vishaya Sukha, like a sense pleasure. Let us say, for example, the pleasure of eating Rasagulla. Let us contrast the pleasure of eating Rasagulla with whatever is listed here. Now, Gunarahityam. So, the pleasure of eating Rasagulla has properties, right? Like it has the sweetness, it has the texture, it has this, it has that. But here, the Bhakti Rasa is Gunarahityam. It is devoid of properties. Now, if you eat one Rasagulla, you will have desire to eat more Rasagullas, right? Now, suppose if I eat one Rasagulla and to have the same pleasure again the next day, I have to eat one more Rasagulla. If I remember that, oh, yesterday I ate Rasagulla, it was so nice, and today there is no Rasagulla, that will give me actually pain. It will give me sorrow, right? Till I get another Rasagulla, I will suffer. Just the thought of Rasagulla will not satisfy will not give me the pleasure of Rasagulla, right? So it only will give more desire. Whereas here, Kamana Rahitam. So, whereas this devotion, it is devoid of desire. Why? Because just the thought of Ishvara gives me pleasure. I don't need something tangible. So, if I say, yesterday I was meditating upon Ishvara and I was enjoying, I experienced great pleasure, just the recollection of that pleasure gives me pleasure, which is not possible in a sense pleasure. In case of a Bhajanananda, this is called Bhajanananda. In case of a Bhajanananda, in case of this pleasure got out of bhakti, just the recollection of the previous experience of pleasure gives me the same pleasure again, because it is purely mental. It is buddhigrahyam atindriyam. So, it is devoid of desire. It is kamana rahitam. And pratikshana vardhamanam. It grows every moment. In case of Vishaya Sukha, suppose I eat one Rasagulla, that will give me some amount of pleasure. The second Rasagulla will give me less pleasure. The third Rasagulla will give me still less pleasure. And then I will say, enough, I don't want any more. Where it keeps decreasing, right? Law of diminishing returns. Whereas in case of bhakti, it increases every moment. Pratikshana vardhamanam. It keeps on increasing. The more I think about the Lord, the more pleasure. The more I think, more pleasure. And as I keep thinking about the Lord, the pleasure keeps increasing exponentially. So pratikshana vardhamanam. And avichinnam, uninterrupted. There is no interruption at all. I can just continuously, keep thinking about the Lord and experiencing. Whereas for Vishaya Sukha, I cannot continuously keep eating Rasagulla. The pleasure is not continuous. Whereas here, the pleasure is continuous. And Sukshma Taram, it is extremely subtle. The Vishaya Sukha is gross, right? Whereas here it is subtle. And another thing is the Vishaya Sukha will degrade the body, right? Sarvendriyanam jarayanti tejaha. That's what Kathopanishad Nachiketa says. The very act of eating Rasagulla will diminish my capacity to enjoy more Rasagulla, right? The sense of sweetness will come down and also the body will get spoiled, right? Sarvendriyanam jarayanti tejaha. All sense organs, they diminish in their power as you engage them with the sense objects. That is the nature of sense organs. That is the nature of the pleasure got out of sense organs. Whereas here, it keeps increasing. It keeps becoming stronger and stronger. It is sukshma taram. It is extremely subtle. And still, it is anubhava rupam. It is tangible. It is buddhigrahyam. It is of experience. It is a nature of, it is not mere intellectual understanding. It is experiential pleasure. Bhakti is experienced pleasure. It is the nature of anubhava rupam, it says. Tat prapya, having attained that, tadeva avalokati. So once you have got it, you seek only that, right? Tat prapya, tadeva avalokati, tadeva shrunoti, tadeva bhashayati, tadeva chintayati. So once a person has attained that bhakti, he wants to see only the form of Lord. He wants to listen only to the glories of the Lord. He speaks only of the glories of the Lord. He thinks about only the glories of the Lord, right? So this is what is called as Mayi Aveshita Chetasam. So Krishna says, Mayi Aveshita Chetasam, the mind which is fully soaked in Ishvara. So that is what here the description is. Tat prapya tadeva avalokati, tadeva shrunoti, tadeva bhashayati, tadeva chintayati. Right? So then, to attain that, there are stages. This we have already seen. the different stages of bhakti, we have already seen Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, Jnani, right? So that's what is described here. Gauni Trida Guna Bhedat Artha Artha Adi Bedatva. So we have already we have we have discussed this already, right? Different stages of bhakti, right? And so yeah, so the difference, this part, the tamasic, rajasic, sattva bhakti, like maybe we can I think it is time already. Yeah, I think we will stop here. Maybe we'll continue with this. Yeah, this is the last shloka. Yeah, maybe like 20 some, 3 more minutes we can. So basically in the Gita, Krishna describes 3 types of bhakti or expression of bhakti. So all these variations come only in the lower level of bhakti, not in the higher level. So when you say higher level, in the Jignasu and Jnani bhakti, there is no difference in guna. But in the lower levels of bhakti, you have the differentiation between tamasic bhakti, rajasic bhakti, and sattvic bhakti. So tamasic bhakti is where you torture the body, right? If you are torturing the body and if you are doing gross actions trying to please Ishvara, that is called tamasic bhakti. Okay. And rajasic bhakti is something which you do to show yourself off, show off bhakti, right? You organize a grand function, with a lot of decorations, you call a lot of people, you serve a lot of food. Basically, it's a big show off in the name of worshipping Ishvara. That is called rajasic bhakti, right? And then sattvic bhakti is you do it very privately. It's just a personal relationship between you and the Lord. Even your family members will not know how much you are devoted to Ishvara. That is called sattvic bhakti. Sri Ramakrishna very, very nicely puts in a way. He says, a sattvic bhakta will go to sleep along with their family members. When everyone goes to sleep, he also will go to sleep. And once everyone has fallen asleep, in the middle of the night, he will get up, sit on his bed inside the mosquito net, and he will be doing japa. That is what is called a sattvic bhakti. Sri Ramakrishna gives such a beautiful description. Sattvic bhakti is where the bhakta doesn't even want his family members to know that he is doing puja, japa, meditation, all that. So he will, after everyone has gone to sleep, he will sit inside the mosquito net on his bed and he will do japa throughout the night. And with full of tears in his eyes, he will be worshipping and meditating upon the Lord. And none of the people in his family will even come to know. And at dawn, he will again go back to sleep, or he will wake up when people see that, okay, he has not got a good sleep. He will, why are your eyes like this? Didn't you sleep yesterday night? He will say, yeah, I did. I had a bad sleep. I couldn't sleep. He will not even tell what he was doing in the night. Now, that kind of a bhakti, Sri Ramakrishna calls it as sattvika bhakti. And in fact, Gita also says the same thing. The bhakti which is purely done according to the scriptural injunctions, purely for the love of the Lord, even without telling other human beings, because it's just a private affair between you and Ishvara. You don't even let others know about it. Now that is called sattvika bhakti. And the stages of bhakti, artha, artharthi, jignasu, and jnani, we have already described in detail, we have discussed. Now these are all gauni bhakti. These are the preparatory ones, and the final bhakti is the jnani bhakti. And all in both these ways, uttarasmat, purva purva, shreyaya bhavati. So, rajasic bhakti is better than tamasic bhakti, sattvic bhakti is better than rajasic bhakti. Similarly, jnani bhakti is better than jignasu bhakti is better than artharthi, better than artha. So, each succeeding one is better than the previous one. That is what it says in the last sutra. Uttarasmat, purva purva, shreyaya bhavati. Right? So this is the preparatory stages of bhakti. So far, whatever till the 56th sutra, whatever we described, that was the final end of bhakti, which is basically the jnani bhakti, right? The final end of bhakti. And this shloka describes the preparatory steps in bhakti. So I think with this chapter is over. So what have we seen? Supreme devotion is indescribable, but it can be experienced, and it can be experienced, right? It is a tangible experience, though it is indescribable. Once experienced, the person will want to experience only that again and again. Preparatory devotion is based on gunas or states, subsequent is higher than the preceding. So this is the summary of the 7 sutras we saw in this chapter.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Sir, you just told that this bhakti is like that you always want to be soaked in it and you want more and more of it. So seems similar to some kind of substance. So how are the two different?
Very, very good question.
In fact, at least.
Very good question. So, see, in case of other addictions, you depend upon an external substance. You depend upon an external chemical. You depend upon some external achievements. Like, say, even worldly achievements also are addictive, right? So, everywhere if you see, it is dependent upon something external. And sarvam paravasham dukkham, sarvam atmavasham sukham. Any dependence on anything outside of yourself is a bondage. It will invariably, you will run into a situation where it is not available, or you have to pay a big cost for it. And because of that, you will run into sorrow, misery, addiction, everything. Whereas here, it is, you are absolutely independent of anything outside. This pleasure is atindriyam. That is what is important. It is buddhigrahyam atindriyam, right? So you don't depend upon anything outside of you for this pleasure. It is absolutely inside of you. It is independent of any people, objects, situations outside. So it is completely in your hands. You are absolutely free to do whatever you want. So this freedom you get. Whereas in the other cases, for other sources of pleasure, you don't have that freedom. You are dependent on other things. That is the big difference, right? Lokesh?
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, ma. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think it's still there is some means maybe it leaves it more less desirable in terms of the overall well-being. Means if you are so much involved in yourself itself, so maybe you are not available for the world.
Good. So that is why we saw in the second chapter, no, that you still continue to do your duties in the world, and you continue to follow spiritual disciplines as mentioned in the scriptures, right? So that is why that is given to. So whatever you are saying, like to create that balance, that is why even after attaining Jivan Mukti, see, what does Krishna say in the Gita? So, Yoga Yukto, Vishuddhatma, Vijitatma, Jitendriya, Sarva Bhutatma, Bhutatma. So, by doing all these things, you attain Jivan Mukti. Then what does he say? Kurvan apina lipyate. So, after that, you continue to do your duties in the world without attachment. Right? So, everywhere in the Gita, if you see, it will tell, it doesn't say the Jivan Mukta immediately goes and sits in a cave, does not do anything, and he doesn't say that. He says, The Jivan Mukta lives in the world doing all his duties without attachment. So you will not, because that is a Kritagnya, like you will be grateful to the Guru, you will be grateful to Ishvara in the form of the world, and with open eyes also you will engage with Ishvara as the world, because the world is nothing but Ishvara only. So with closed eyes you meditate upon Ishvara, and with open eyes you serve Ishvara as the world. You understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it is clear, sir. Thank you.
Namaste ji.
Namaste.
This Rajasa Bhakti, Tamasa and Satvika Bhakti. Just
Yeah. So
not get it.
So Tamasa Bhakti is where you torture the body trying to please the Lord. Okay. So lot of people, they torture yourself and torture others also. You give bali,
Right.
pashu bali, right? You or people, they pierce their mouth with this
Yes,
thing,
yes.
and then a lot of people go for extended fasting, right? Unnatural fasting, right? So basically you are
Yes,
torturing the body. And Ravana even actually cut open his intestines and made a veena out of his intestine and then sang for Shiva. No, that is all called Tamasa Bhakti, where you are torturing the body to please Ishvara. Rajasa Bhakti is you create a big pomp and show, right? You invite lot of people, feed lot of people, not for their pleasure, but just to make show. You create a big show of your devotion, right? And so that is Rajasa Bhakti. Satvika Bhakti is, you say, Bhakti is between me and Ishvara, and no one else needs to even know about it. And what sadhana you are doing, even your close family members will not know what sadhana you are doing. That is Satvika Bhakti. Satvika is the highest. Yes. Yeah. In the Gospel, Sri Ramakrishna talks about this in several places. Right? Satvika Bhakti. Yeah. So Satvika Bhakti is what we have to aim for. त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव श्रीराम कृष्ण. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम तत्सत. श्रीराम कृष्णार्पणमस्तु. जय राम कृष्ण. जय राम कृष्ण.